Quick reading, session number 5, and I want to welcome you back and congratulate you. You've made it to session number 5, our completing session, if you will. And the reason for the congratulations is because you know that the majority of the people that start something never finish it. And it's not even just a small percentage. I mean, the majority of the people that go through and they buy a book or they go to a seminar or they get a home study DVD program and they're interested in growing themselves, their personal life and their professional life in some way, and they never get to the end, and that's really where the big payoff is, and that's what this session is for you today. So I want to congratulate you because clearly you're a doer. You're somebody who likes to complete things and not the many people who complain about things. And so I think you're going to really love this session and what we're about to cover. In this session, we're going to cover 3 things. We're going to discover your current reading rate. So I'm going to take you through an exercise to be able to assess your current reading rate as well as stretch you at the same time. The second thing, which is really the core of today's lesson, is I'm going to give you a process for mastering technical reading. Information that you really... You see, there's a difference between studying to remember something and most people cramming to forget. You know, if you've ever taken, if you remember school, if you ever have been in the habit of maybe cramming for something and then you take the test and then a couple days later everything just disappears out of your mind. You know, that's one way of doing it, and then the other is to really study. And I'm going to show you a process for really mastering technical nonfiction material. For information that you know, up to this point you're reading something and you're getting good value out of it. This is more, the process I'm about to show you is for things you really want to study, the information you really want to own at a deeper level. So whether you're in school right now and you need to prepare for exams and you want to study and to remember, or let's say you're in your profession and you need to always get continuing education, there's other certification exams, or you want to just really master a specific subject in your personal or professional life, and you really want to own that material and really make it and deepen the groove in terms of the information deep down into your memory banks. I'm going to give you the 3-step process for doing that in this session. And then thirdly, I'm going to finish this program off, or this course, if you will, with a quick review. I'm going to take you through and review what we've covered in all 5 of these training modules together, because sometimes just hearing something in a different way, kind of bringing it back to service, helps it to ingrain it even more. And I think it's a nice summary wrap up of some of the highlights of the most powerful things that you've learned during this course. Now, to get started, I'm going to ask you for a few things. I'm going to ask you, first of all, just to kind of manage your state, to be completely present. You're here with me like all the times. I want you to just kind of, as long as you're in a safe environment to do so, and that if you could kind of just focus on what we're doing for the next hour or so, maybe a little bit longer, and just really, this is time for you, and that's time well spent. Because, you know, taking care of yourself is one of the most important things, and it's not selfish. If you want to be able to serve others, you just have to be able to give to yourself. So first of all, just be present with me here, and everything else will be there. You know, just as long as all your ecologically, you know, in your environment, you know, the things that are most important to you are taken care of. But here, if you can, be completely present. And now, what you're going to need in terms of artifacts is I'm going to ask you to grab a fiction hardcover book, because we're going to do a little practicing in there. I'm going to take you through a drill, and then I'm going to ask you to have a writing implement here, a writing instrument, if you will, a pen or a pencil, just to be able to take notes. If you happen to have post-it notes or paper clips, to be able to we're going to do this reading exercise where it's going to help you to be able to find which pages you left off on. It's optional, but it's recommended. Obviously, in each of these sessions from day 1, I ask you to keep a memory or in a reading journal or a diary, because I think if the things that you're learning is worth learning, then it's worth recording also. So take a lot of notes, because you never know when there's pieces of wisdom that are here that you'll be able to use in a different way to be able to get better results in your life. And I think, well, you know, once you capture things in notes, your increase of retention of it and your recall could jump upwards of 50% or more. So you know, a big proponent of note taking and note making. And on top of that, talking about the nonfiction technical book, you know, we're also going to talk about, I'm going to ask you to have with you some kind of I know in the last session we took newspapers and magazines and such. This focus is really on technical reading. So this would be have with you your favorite or current reading self-improvement book or your business book or something that's a little bit more not light fiction reading like your fiction hardcover book, but something you really want to study. If you happen to have that, it's not absolutely required, but if you happen to have it, I'm going to give you a process for going through and studying it, and if you want to use it as a reference, it could be very, very helpful. So the first thing we want to do is we want to judge your current reading rate. We always start with a base rate because in order to be able to manage something, you have to be able to measure it. All right. In order to be able to manage something, you need to be able to measure it. So we always start with your current reading rate. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is to take your fiction hardcover book. I'm going to ask you to pick up where you left off right now. So pick up where you left off and mark it some way with a pen or pencil or your post-it note or some kind of paper clip if you have it. And what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to read just for 1 minute using your finger as a visual pacer. So just read with your finger just for 1 minute, and we're going to see. And you're going to at the end of 60 seconds, I'm going to ask you to count the number of lines that you read. So get ready, get set. And when I say stop, you're just going to remember mark where you left off. Okay, and I'm going to be here with you, and that's why we do it in this format. Go. Read how you normally read. Okay, please stop. And just put a little mark in the margin where you left off. A little mark in the margin where you left off in your reading. And what I'm going to ask you to do now is count the number of lines that you just read. Count the number of lines that you just read. And that will give you some kind of baseline, your base rate. And we can do it in lines per minute. Again, in order to be able to find out your words per minute, because they do reading speed the same way as they do typing speed, you have to multiply the average number of words per line times that number. But just to kind of keep it simple, we'll just focus on the number of lines here. And it counts as a line again if maybe the line goes more than halfway across the page. So you have to guesstimate a little bit, but this is an approximation, okay? Because obviously it's probably not worth your time to count the exact amount of words you just read, okay? Now, just jot that number down. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take you through again another quick practice round, okay? A speed practice round, where I'm going to ask you to read for 4 minutes and then reread in that 4 minutes what you read in this time in 3 minutes, and then do it in 2 minutes, and then do it in 1 minute, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to pick up where you left off, where you put your final mark in the side of the margins of what you just read. Now I'm going to give you 4 full minutes. 4 full minutes, and I'll ask you to read using your finger, underlining what you read, how you normally read in terms of your new base rate, if you will. And remember, using your left hand if possible, you're floating across the page, keeping a little bit right above the page. And I'm going to ask you to read in 4 minutes. And then I'm going to ask you to mark where you left off. Okay? So get ready. Pick up where you last left off. And you're going to read using your finger for 4 minutes. Ready? And go. Okay, and stop, please. All right, great job. What I'd like you to do now is put a little mark in the margin where you left off. Little mark in the margin where you just left off. And how was that? What we're going to do now is you're going to go back to where the original mark was, which you just started at for the 4 minutes, and you're going to reread now the same number of lines. I want you to cover the same space that we covered in 4 minutes together. I want you to do it in 3 minutes, again using your finger as a visual pacer. Alright, so you're going to go back to the beginning of where you started with the 4 minutes, and I'm going to ask you this time to do it in 3 minutes. In 3 minutes now. Okay, so it's a 3-minute drill. Now, remember what this is based on. You know, you saw the picture of Babe Ruth, and he's holding a number of bats, and because you're building the muscle, you're swinging with more weight. So when you actually go through it in your normal situations, in this case with reading, then it actually seems lighter and it's actually faster. Okay, because you're building those muscles, and it's kind of like going through life, and you have like more and more weight, but then you take the weights off, and then you just start sprinting everywhere. And so that's what we're doing here. So again, go back to the beginning and go. 3 minutes. Remember to breathe. Reread what you just read. Okay, you have about 60 seconds left, so make sure you get to the end in 60 seconds. "30 seconds. 10 seconds, finish up. Go faster, faster, faster. And stop. Great job, great job. So now what we just did was originally, just to catch us up where we are right now, you read for 4 minutes, and then I asked you to reread what you just read, but this time do it in 3 minutes, right? And so what we're going to do right now is you're going to do it in 2 minutes, okay? We're almost there. We only have 3 minutes left. You're going to return to the beginning mark of what you read in 4 minutes and then 3 minutes. And you're going to read. We're going to cover the same number of lines in 2 minutes using your finger as a visual pacer. Okay, this time you have to get to the end mark in 2 minutes, okay? This is even if you're not completely understanding everything that you're reading, the outcome is to get to the end in 2 minutes. All right, that's the goal. And remember to breathe, remember to sit up straight, remember your posture, remember you're holding the book at a little bit of an angle, you're sitting up straight because have to get be in a visual state, and also you're absorbing all the oxygen in your lower lungs into your bloodstream, so you're completely aware, completely engaged. So go on the beginning mark again, and begin. I'm going to go faster. Remember, you're going twice as fast as you did in the first 4-minute exercise. Okay, you're halfway there, 60 seconds. So you should be halfway through your reading material. If you're not, you have to speed up. Remember, comprehension is not as important right now as the speed. "45 seconds. "30 seconds to go." You have 30 seconds. Speed up, speed up. The goal is to get all the way to the end. You can do it. Okay, faster, faster, faster. You have 10 seconds. And stop. Great, great job. So if you're able to get to the end, congratulate yourself, pat yourself on the back, because that's extraordinary. That's going twice as fast as you did the first time. Now we're going to do it one last time, and this time you're going to do for 1 minute. You're going to return to the beginning mark. I'm going to have you read for 60 seconds. So basically you have to do this 4 times faster than you did initially, 4 times the rate. Okay, so here you're not going for any comprehension. Here you're just going through and you're practicing moving your finger through the page and following it with your eyes. And even when we get to the end, if you're not even there yet, then do 2 lines at once if you need to, but get to the end. Okay, you have 60 seconds. You need to cover all these lines, all that distance in 60 seconds. Okay, and I know you're up for the challenge. So cover the same amount of lines in 1 minute using your visual pacer, your finger, as you read, or use a pencil or a pen if you need to, and go fast. Okay, it's all about speed here. Just follow your eyes. Your eyes are following your finger through the page. Okay, and begin. Okay, 30 seconds. You should be halfway through, halfway through. If not, go faster. Do multiple lines at once. Just get to the end. Faster. Faster. Okay, 10 seconds. Go faster, 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 faster. 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop. All right, great job. This is your new reading rate now. So what I'd like you to do is we're going to discern your new reading rate. Now, this exercise, the 4, 3, 2, 1, is like doing mental push-ups, and I know you feel it. It's like going through and putting twice the weight onto it. You know, first you're increasing 50%, and then twice as much, and now 4 times as heavy. And then you're going to go back and just see how light it was in the beginning. And so what you to do right now is I want you to pick up where you left off. Okay, you're going to pick up where you just left off, so you're not rereading any material, and I'm going to have you read. Okay, I'm going to have you read for 1 minute using your finger as a pacer. So brand new material, pick up where you left off in your fiction reading, and get ready to read for a full 60 seconds. Read for your normal comprehension. Okay, using your finger to pull you through the information. Okay, are you ready? Take a deep breath. Drink some water if you have it. Good. Position your book. You're holding the book either on top or on the bottom, whatever's most comfortable for you. Position your left finger if that's what you're reading with. You read for 60 seconds. Again, where you left off at the end. And when I call 60 seconds, I want you to mark where you left off. Begin. And stop. Great. Now, congratulations. What you to do right now is to count the number of lines that you just read in the past 60 seconds. Count the number of lines, and I want you to write down in your notebook your new base reading rate. Count the number of lines. Remember, it counts as a line as long as it goes more than halfway across the page, or you can estimate a little bit how you did the first time. And write down your new base rate. Okay, now that you have your new base rate, you write it down. Remember, what you can measure is what you can manage, and that's really the process. It seems like it's a little bit exhausting in a way because there's effort that's involved, but it's a eustress and not a distress. A eustress is kind of a healthy stress, something that puts you in flow. So we're building out these muscles so when you need them, they're there for you. When you need them, they're going to be there for you.